So who would win between the wall crawler Spider-Man and the Weapon X Wolverine? We are the Hive Mind, and in this video we're going to explore their strengths, weaknesses, and some of their most memorable battles from the comics, along with some inverse scaling that would give us the most logical outcome for this battle. Just a PSA, this fight will be under the context of a death battle, meaning that both characters will not be holding back and will be trying their hardest to kill each other from the start of the fight. With that being said, very quickly before we dive into the video, it would be really appreciated if you guys could subscribe to myself and King Six's gaming channels. We've been working very hard on those channels and would appreciate it if you guys would give us a subscribe. Without further ado, let's find out who wins.
Their first match comes from Secret Wars number 3. In their first encounter, Spider-Man shows speed superiority by evading not only Wolverine's attacks, but the other X-Men's attacks as well, all at the same time. So all that we could accurately gauge from this fight is that Spider-Man is the faster of the two. However, this is very short-lived.
In their next encounter, which takes place during Spider-Man vs. Wolverine, the two fight relatively for the most part. However, Wolverine shows that he now has gained the speed advantage on Spider-Man. Spider-Man notes that Logan is potentially faster than himself, but after making this observation, he then second guesses himself, saying that nobody's faster. However, directly after this, he admits that Logan is exposing his false bravado, meaning that Spider-Man was trying to cope with the fact that Wolverine is actually faster. Spider-Man starts to speculate on what is happening and why he feels as if he's moving in slow motion. He thinks that Wolverine is doing something to his head, but as readers, we can infer that this is Peter's spider sense. Based on the explanation Peter gives to us, one of his spider sense's abilities is heightening his perception whilst in danger, hence why things are moving in slow motion to him during this fight. This could also just be because Logan is faster than Peter. Spider-Man does say verbatim, "I'm slow," but based on context clues with Spider-Man noting something is wrong with his head, spider sense is the more likely scenario. Spider-Man hits Logan without holding back, giving him everything he's got, and Logan just tanks it, smiling as Peter hits him. The fact that no matter how much damage he deals out, he can't knock Wolverine out, drives Spider-Man to think the only way he can beat Logan is by killing him, showing that Wolverine as of this era is faster than Spider-Man and has the durability not to get put down by Peter's strikes.
Alright, so the next fight we're going to look at is from Wolverine versus Spider-Man. It starts off with Spider-Man attempting an off guard on Logan, believing him to be an imposter because at this point a lot of people believe Wolverine to be dead. Out of anger that someone may be imitating Wolverine, he sends a powerful punch at Wolverine. After breaking the wall, he realizes that he may need to hold back, as the imposter may not be as powerful as Logan. It's possible that Spider-Man didn't cool it because he assumed that the imposter was similar to Wolverine in physical capability. Essentially, he saw Wolverine so subconsciously that he started to fight them like they actually were Logan, before he noticed that he should hold back because they may not be superpowered. Meaning, he would not have been holding back this strike at all, seeing as in their last encounter, Spider-Man at full power wasn't enough for the Wolverine. However, what's more likely is that Spider-Man was holding back like he usually does, and he thought he should just hold back more than usual. Overall, this fight does not provide any real scaling for the two, but if you argue that Spider-Man wasn't holding back at the beginning, then Logan would have successfully dodged a strike from a non-holding back Spider-Man, which is consistent with previous scaling.
The most direct inverse scaling that we can derive from this matchup is how the two perform against the anti-hero known as Venom, especially within the Lethal Protector era that took place during the early 90s. In 2018, we received a flashback to this era where Wolverine fights Venom. In this brutal bar fight, Logan shows to be concretely above Venom, as Logan is not even taking the fight seriously and is still able to react to damn near all of Venom's attacks easily and easily dispatches the symbiote. Now, a large reason for Logan's success against Venom is because of his claws and healing factor, but keep in mind this is his base kit, so we can't really use that as an excuse. Furthermore, if we look at how Spider-Man performs against Venom in comparison to Wolverine, he's shown having a way harder time, with Venom having the necessary AP to damage Spider-Man and KO him, and Venom being fast enough to even outpace Spider-Man. Going based on this era, it would be fair to say that at this time, Logan was superior to Spider-Man based off of these encounters.
We see them face off next in Marvel Team Up #1 from 2004. Wolverine is not engaging in this fight at all. His focus is completely on the kid and making sure he is subdued. Spider-Man is nothing but an afterthought, with Logan throwing no attacks at Peter. While Wolverine is speaking to Peter, Peter takes the opportunity off guard with Wolverine and web him, making this fight invalid and without any scaling, seeing as Wolverine isn't fighting back.
The next encounter we have takes place in Marvel Knight Spider-Man. This encounter shows Spider-Man and Wolverine facing off during a training match between the Avengers, with Wolverine ending up stabbing Spider-Man clean in the ribs. However, this does not get Wolverine over Spider-Man. The only things this fight illustrates are that Wolverine only requires one clean stab in order to take Spider-Man down, and that Logan can take multiple strikes from a non-holding back Spider-Man if guarded against it accordingly. In addition to that, the two are training, and because it's low intensity, Wolverine can get a slash on Spider-Man. It is also implied that Wolverine is fighting at a much higher intensity than Spider-Man, which is very important to note. With that being said, this makes the first attack that Peter dodged very impressive, and also suggests a slight speed advantage from Spider-Man, being that Wolverine is fighting at a much higher intensity.
Alright, so this next fight takes place in Avenging Spider-Man issue 16, and it is Otto Octavius as the superior Spider-Man versus Wolverine. But because Otto Octavius is in Peter Parker's body, he retains all of Peter's physical capabilities, making this encounter valid to derive scaling from, especially because this version of Spider-Man does not hold back, he is willing to kill. Wolverine takes a convincing loss here, but the reason behind this is because Wolverine was holding back since he doesn't want to hurt who he believes to be his friend. This is why he doesn't pop his claws. We know Logan is holding back his speed since Otto says his savageness, his speed, I do not return the favor. And furthermore, Otto says that he's superior in every way and it's time to show it. This is implying that Peter holds back, and since Otto is the superior Spider-Man, he's finally going to show Peter's full capabilities. However, Otto believing himself to be faster is just that, he's believing himself to be. This is again because Wolverine was holding himself back, just making Otto feel faster in comparison. When Wolverine gets back up with his claws popped ready to fight, he's fast enough to grab superior Spider-Man. Otto had dodged Logan's first off-guard attack, but the second was after Spider-Man was aware of Logan's hostile intent, and he had the false bravado that he would be able to dodge anything that Logan threw at him, obviously basing this off of their last encounter where Logan was holding back and Otto would just bully him. But we see that this is clearly just not the case as Logan grabs him. So for this encounter, we cannot say that Spider-Man will beat Wolverine since Logan was not fighting all out, and potentially speed relativity between the two since Logan, once he started trying, easily grabbed him.
Finally, we have their most recent encounter, which is the Contest of Chaos, which is also the most direct encounter the two have had since their fight in the 80s. The two are under the influence of this magical orb that compels them to fight each other to maintain possession of it. The orb does not make them bloodlusted, since we see at the beginning of the comic, the orb is affecting both of them, but it did not make them fight each other until the threat of one another taking the orb was present. With that being said, Spider-Man states that he's acting upon impulse and that the orb is driving him. He says, "I don't just want the orb, I need it." He also states that he never wanted to kill Wolverine, implying that although he doesn't want to kill Wolverine, the orb is making him make impulsive moves separate from his conscious thought to do what is necessary to maintain the orb. Spider-Man's statement right after about Wolverine heavily implied that both characters are experiencing the same control from the orb. Therefore, both characters are trying their hardest to obtain and protect the orb, but not taking the most efficient actions to defeat their opponent. The two end up going relative with no clear advantage on any side of the fight. It is concluded without any real victor. Therefore, this fight is not applicable for anything other than speed relativity, as both combatants landed and evaded strikes from each other, and they are lacking a key element of fighting, their battle IQ, as the orb is making them act impulsive rather than with their thoughts.
In terms of who will flat out win, none of the encounters actually answer the question for us, but now that we've broken down all of the combatants' encounters, we can use the scaling within them to discuss how this battle will most likely go down. The two are physically quite comparable, so comparable that none of their stats will give a clear advantage over the other. Spider-Man is quite powerful and most definitely capable of knocking out Wolverine, and at the same time, Wolverine is very durable and can continue fighting after taking both blocked and direct hits from Spider-Man. When it comes to speed, they're close but not equal. Wolverine began with the speed advantage, but since the Marvel Knight fight, it suggests that Spider-Man does now currently have the speed advantage. This obviously being because he was easily able to evade Logan's initial strike while not taking the training session as seriously as Wolverine. No encounter after this provides any contradictory evidence, so this speed gap between the characters is still consistent. With all that being said, if this fight becomes a close quarters brawl, Wolverine will take the W. Although he's not as fast as Spider-Man, he is still fast enough to where he can land a strike, and all he needs is one clean stab on Peter. With his massive hand-to-hand skill advantage, he can compensate for Spider-Man's speed advantage and just land that one hit. But the major problem there is Spider-Man doesn't fight that way. As we see in literally all of their encounters, Spider-Man evades and uses his webs to his advantage. Regardless if Wolverine is able to break out of the webs, he doesn't do it immediately or instantly. He is still left hanging there or stunned there. Spider-Man doesn't even need to shoot all of his webs at Logan. He can literally just blow up one of his web cartridges and completely encase Wolverine. This is something that Wolverine has been shown to be susceptible to in the past. And if any of these scenarios land, Wolverine is wide open to get annihilated by Spider-Man. Peter can either shove a web cartridge down Logan's throat, which would effectively suffocate Logan, bypassing his healing factor and killing him, or if we're not taking into account bloodlusted scenarios, he's going to run up and slam his head into the ground, knocking him out exactly like Otto did. In the famous words of K the God. With all of that being said, either character's win cons are possible, and due to both characters being so comparable, this is an extremely difficult scenario for either party. However, due to Spider-Man's speed advantage and his distinct fighting style, he would have the advantage within the scenario. This is primarily due to standard battle assumptions dictating that these two competitors will not start immediately in front of each other. This results in Logan needing to close the distance on Spider-Man in order for him to make it a close quarters brawl and land that stab. And again, due to Spider-Man's ranged fighting style and his speed advantage, it's much more likely that Logan will fail to do this. So in a highly difficult scenario, Spider-Man is going to be your winner.
With that being said, that's going to end this video. We hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, be sure to comment them down below. And if you enjoyed the video, be sure to check out another one. Please leave a like and subscribe.